the aftermath of World War II, the withdrawal of Japanese occupation in Vietnam created a power struggle between USSR-backed North Vietnam and US-backed South Vietnam. Despite the temporary peace created by the Geneva Accords, which split up Vietnam into two sides, continued agitation by the North started what is known as the Vietnam War. From a public perspective, America saw this as an opportunity to emphasize their containment policy, and thus they played a large role in helping the Vietnamese people immigrate from the north to the south. While many Vietnamese migrated internally, most sought refuge elsewhere, such as other Asian countries, but most notably the United States. This is their story.
I'm David Nguyen, born in 1964. As far as I remember, I was born in the Vietnam War era. So growing up between, far back, I remember until when I was 11 years old, which is 1975. I can remember that every so often there was like a truckload, there's a military convoy that taking injured soldier or dead soldier going back across town, and we just stand in front of our house and looking at it.
My family have a sort of a little company doing the grounding machine for the rice, and they come over and took it away and took our house too. And at that time, because of that, and then because we the children of the one who work for the South Vietnam government, so that's why they took it, and then we have no way to live. That's why we have to left Vietnam.
3 boats next to each other. My boat have 157 people, and we sit on the boat like our sardines, right? Very packed, right? And it took us 4 days to get to the Hong Kong. But right on, I'm basically a city boy, right? So on my first night there, like eventually go out in the ocean. That's all you see, just ocean, no land, right? I mean, sometimes you see big waves, like it's even much taller than you, but it's your boat, so eventually your boat, rise up to it, not that kind of thing. I mean, maybe even the second day or third day, we saw a big middle boat of maybe some Western countries people. So we waved, we asked for help, and I think they saw that our boat still can go okay, so they didn't pick us up. So then the adults at the time said, okay, next time we see another boat, we'll try to damage our boat. Basically force them to help us out, right? So I guess on the 4th day, we meet a big wooden but big fishing boat from Hong Kong. So they pick us up. We didn't even have to try to damage our boat or anything like that. They pick us up.
When we was in the big city, so my mom will rent a booth at the market, so she can sell green bean and coffee or dry squid, something, whatever she can sell to feed the family. Talking about that, I remember there's a story that sometimes the government not allow us oh, this month or this quarter you guys cannot, or this year you guys cannot sell the green bean. So what she did is she asked me, at the time I was about 9 or 10 years old, she asked me brought the green bean to the market for her. So I'm really scared, but to help her, if she got an order placed by people, I just help her by bring a bag of 3 or 5 bags of green bean, to the market. And doing that, I just pretend like kids have a fun and jumping and jogging and walking and singing on the street to bring that stuff to the market for my mom, so the police don't pay attention to the kid. And then one time, remember, I and my brother, we do the same thing. He gave me a ride to the market on the bicycle, and I carry a bag of green bean, about 3 or 5 bags in the backpack. And on the way we go to the market, I saw the police, and I'm so scared. And then I just fell from the bicycle. Even though my brother, he didn't shaking or turning the wheel when he drive or anything, but I got so scared, I just fell down to the ground, And for my brother too, he tried to help my mom to sell the squid. Like he used the squid to wrap around his leg. You know, he wear like 2 layers of pants. So he put the squid in the middle of the pan, and and try to help my mom to sell that, because at that time they're not allowed to sell the dry squid or anything. So when that's the time I remember, it's funny because it's too heavy, and then the pan is dropped down in the middle of the sheet. This happened to him.
We no school for the kid. You know, my family, we have to go and make fake all the school document for to flee and then go to another city for school. And of course, no food at that time of year. It's very hard to get food. And the communists always, talk one thing. The communists always talk one thing, and then it's not true. Everything they tell us, most of them are lie. They even lie to the kids also.
So they took away that house too, and then I remember my mom when the northern soldier came in with guns and like the whole group of them, and they told my mom that they're gonna take over. So my mom told them that, so what about our family? Where are we gonna live? And they said that's none of my problem. So I remember probably for the first time, my mom cried, because probably the first time when they sent my dad away and not knowing he ever come back. So the second time when they took first the house and then the factory away, and then my mom doesn't know when we're gonna be leaving. But I think we just, stay there and refuse to move. So every week or so they came with guns and put pressure on us.
And my first experience was they give each of the kids, which I was a kid at the time, a big sun-kissed orange. And it's the first time in my life I saw an orange with an orange outside. Because in Vietnam, orange is orange inside, but outside is still green. But it's ripe and everything. So I've never seen a sun-kissed type of orange. So that was something I remember.
So because people start to leave the Vietnam by boat, and then the police start to pay attention, like in around neighborhood, like you see, like is there stranger in the neighborhood, because at that time if somebody come to sleep at your house from different county, you need to report to the local police that somebody will sleep at your house. On that day they need to show the ID, and at that time, some people start to leave, to escape from Vietnam. Like sometime in the middle of the night, you will heard the bell rang, or like they will bang into your door to open the door. They wait until like 2 or 3 in the midnight. They wake you up, and they get into the house. They try to do the head count to make sure like everybody at home. Nobody not home. If you are not home, that means you are on the way go to the boat to escape from Vietnam, So that's why I got scared. I still remember at that time when they doing that, like my heart beats so fast. It's like I just feel like my heart like jump out of my chest like that, and I'm so scared. And whenever they do that, my dad need to climb up into the attic to hide away from them,
At 12, I have to start working and helping my mom to, because they took away all the factory in the house, so we were working as like a swap meet, where she sell rice for by the can. Because imagine we were like, before that we were producing rice by the ton for the city for export. Now we have to sell by can, so it was a big adjustment. So I followed my mom at the age of 12 and trying to sell rice to the people just to make ends meet.
Còn bà ngoại á, she came to America when she didn't speak English. So cái khi mà bà ngoại xếp hàng để mà trở thành để được interview để trở thành citizen của Mỹ đó, while waiting the line, she like asked the person like was interviewed before her what they asked so she can prepare. You know, she have to learn she tried to memorize one by one word because she didn't know any word in Vietnam. So when she came here, she had to memorize all in English. She worked really hard. She had to like listen to the tape, you know, try to memorize one by one word. They asked her, they tell her about the history of America. You know what? In Vietnam, she was like study up until the 6th grade, and that's it. But now she went to America, so she phải học tiếng Anh ngay từ đầu đó, là she phải cố gắng để mà nhớ thôi, chứ nhiều khi không có hiểu hết để được become a citizen Mỹ.
And the experience I remember is, at the age of 12, and you kind of have to do this illegal thing already. But if you don't, you're not going to survive. So I go just wrapping coffee, around my body and under the clothes, and then transport it. And that was kind of tough. And then another tough thing was we not being able to go to school for the first, I think, 3 or 6 months. When they tried to screen the good people from the bad people, because my dad was working for the South government. So at the beginning we weren't allowed to go to school. So I remember going to school and staying outside. The classes and looking because we were not allowed to.
Your neighbor or your like friend at school, you don't know whether they are your friend or your enemy, because you people say you hurt you say something and relate to communists or something, but they think that you say bad thing about them and they will report you to the government. Or at school, friend can report to the teacher, so you don't know who's friend, who's like your neighbor or your like that. People can report something like that.
But I think life goes on, and then you learn and you grew from it. And then looking back, those times kind of teach me to appreciate what we have in life. And then when we go to the U.S., I study hard to be successful. And then at 12, I have to do business already. So that's why it kind of teach me to become an entrepreneur, which I'm today. That's what I'm doing today in the U.S. So in that times, if you, there's always good things come out. That's kind of my story.
By the end of the Vietnam War, 2 million Vietnamese refugees left their families and homes to go and make new lives for themselves. Passed by Gerald Ford, the Indochina Migration and Refugee Assistance Act allowed approximately 130,000 immigrants to enter the U.S. under a special status. Many of these immigrants were met with discrimination, as Americans thought that they would not be able to assimilate. Despite the hardships the Vietnamese faced in their old home of Vietnam and their new home of America, their strong will and determination allowed for them to become a people free of oppression. These stories represent only a small fraction of what all immigrants experienced during their travels to America. Beyond the standard textbook consensus of what the Vietnam War was, the hidden stories behind all the battles, politics, and treaties continue to bring out the strength of Vietnam and its people.